Hey, welcome back to Tuskegee. Since your boy Will Call, I'm so happy to be with you guys. It is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and it's a wonderful day. Of course, it's a little cloudy and rainy outside here in the Virginia area, but hey, it's still cool that we get a chance to spend time together with the Tuskegee fam. And so let's get right on ahead into into the topics of the day. So I was kind of struggling, but with trying to come up with a topic. I was watching Suicide Squad 2 yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. This is the second time I've watched it, and first time I saw it in theater about a year or so ago. But I rewatched yesterday on HBO Max, and I got to say, fam, that movie's very good. Uh, Granted, it's adult. Yeah, it's not necessarily for kids because it's a rated R movie. Language, nudity, the whole nine is involved. However, it is high quality, and I think it's a true representative of where DC and the DCEU is going. So therefore, the title kind of like of this show is like DCEU, deep superhero history and super investment to buy now. DC's plethora of characters, superhero characters, is amazing. And unlike when both Marvel and DC started out in the golden age in the late 30s, early 40s, as World War II was going on with superheroes. However, post World War II, Marvel abandoned the superhero genre until the early 60s. And DC kept its superhero content going with those same heroes that were part of the golden age, and then they revitalized and brought them back, and didn't really kill them at all. They really just maintained. They kept growing them even through the 50s, because you have that in that regard, the silver age of DC superheroes and villains. And so what gives DC and its books high value and also low value is the duration of time that it's covered. Whereas, like I said, Marvel kind of got away from it for about 10 years or so. Again, from the mid late 40s to the early 60s, with Fantastic Four in 1961 being its venture back into superhero comics. And so the tracking of Marvel is easier because of it's starting in the 60s. But if you're looking back before then, DC never stopped with its superhero content. And so looking forward to what changing topics a little bit, but yes, staying with DC, I'm looking forward to what DC is going to do with James Gunn coming over to DC as the content CEO, or DCEU CEO, co-CEO for the DCEU going forward. And speaking of the Suicide Squad, of course, he was the writer and the director of Suicide Squad 2, which is why Suicide Squad 2 was so much better than the first. And so this is going to be, as if people are speculating, and I hear you see in the comic book, if you can Google up comic book content and history and speculating, DC's those books from DC are beginning to pick up heat, and people are beginning to speculate. And so I'll share with you some of the speculative characters and some of their first appearances, and some of them I will not mention, but I will go along and begin to help you to understand, just via the Suicide Squad, what folks are beginning to think about so far as where DC might go in the near time future, just based upon the Suicide Squad. So let me change my camera perspective and go to the book display camera, if you bear with me for a second. And so the first book on display, this is not the first appearance of the Peacemaker, but it is one of his early appearances of Peacemaker. This is number 4. that I'm showing you. And I brought this book on the show before. We've talked about this book, and this is one that I found in a garage sale. A friend of mine went in Texas, had a partner who said he was selling some comic books, and so this was part of the lot that I bought from him. I bought 2 short boxes. This is Peacemaker #4. And of course, Peacemaker is played by John Cena in the Suicide Squad. And then he has his own show, Peacemaker, which was another incredible show. Again, adult content. It's James Gunn. It's written by James Gunn and produced by James Gunn. But again, if you do yourself a favor to check out Suicide Squad and Peacemaker on HBO Max, you will not be disappointed, because it's high quality content of serious and yet a dark comedy, but it truly tells a superhero story. And much like the closing extra credit scene of Suicide Squad 2 is when Peacemaker is going to be used by Amanda Waller to help save the world, which is then goes into the Suicide Squad show of how Peacemaker was used by Amanda Waller to save the world. And it's very good. Again, dark content, no doubt, but very good show. And so moving forward from Peacemaker, then we'll go forward into some of the other characters that I'll name from the Suicide Squad. Just off the top of my head, we're talking about, like, with Bloodsport, Polka Dot Man, Ratcatcher, King Shark, and of course from the show you've got Harley Quinn. And so Harley Quinn being here on the cover of this Batman Adventures, even though they call it Batgirl, but this is the first appearance of Harley Quinn in comic books in Batman Adventures #12. This was, of course, from the this comic book is based upon the 1990s Batman cartoon that was so well loved by young adults and kids alike. But this is the first appearance of Harley Quinn. And for those who are not tracking, I mean, Harley Quinn is a huge, huge, huge character. Her books are still somewhat undervalued. And so, again, I encourage you to start looking at buying books like this one that's on display here and other Harley Quinn books. It's just a matter of time before they will not be affordable at all. They're pricey, mildly pricey now. But I recommend, if you're going to do it, because I mean, our Harley Quinn already has been in, yeah, she had her own movie. And so, and then she's got some cartoon spinoff shows as well. And so if you're not doing it, if you're not paying attention to Harley right now, you should, and get in while the getting is good, because eventually you won't be able to afford them. And I know that typically there's a bias towards female characters where their values are not usually as valued as the male characters. But with the temperature of how more and more women are getting into comic books, that will not last long. I promise you, these books will begin to catch fire, and you will regret not buying them now. And because women are truly beginning to dominate not just the characters, but also the content being present in movies. And so it's just a matter of time before these books are not affordable to you. And so just a recommendation. All right. Now, going forward to other books that should and could be part of the speculation for DC books going forward. This one here is a Spectre book in which the Spectre itself, the Spectre itself, is a highly valued and highly valuable book. Spectre came about in a book called Big Fun or Fun Comics? Fun Comics, number 52. And I'll have that picture for you in the comments as I'm talking my way through this. But the Spectre was in Fun Comics number 52. And most people can't afford that book. And again, it's a golden age book that came about in probably the late 40s, early 50s, somewhere in the 50s, maybe early 50s. But you can't afford that book. Most people can't. And so that's why I'm saying for DC books, and I will say clearly, DC books are either extremely expensive because the golden and silver age books are way out of your price range, or they are in the newer range, very affordable, but yet they still blend together and they link together to the golden age high value books. So it's eventually going to be a point in time when those high value books, old books, and newer characterizations of characters those values are going to merge, and eventually these books are going to be out of range. And so what is important about this book here is the fact that it is the first appearance of Michael Holt as Mr. Terrific. Michael Holt was in the CW, one of the CW shows. I think it was with the Flash, and also I can't think of the name of the other show that was on the CW. They didn't do really a great job of him, but Michael Holt, or Mr. Terrific, in this is the third smartest character in the DC universe. That's what they list him as, the third smartest character. And so do yourself a favor. This book, as of now, it is making just about every single Hot 10 list this week and last week. So Terry Holt, though not on the cover, and I'll show a picture of him again. I'll show a picture of him in the comments while I'm talking for you. But do yourself a favor and start looking for this book here, Spectre number 54. This one came out in the early 2000s. And no, I'm sorry, 1997. And so if you don't have it, start picking it up and trying to find it at an affordable price before it gets out of your range. And then again, I just have some books here of the Spectre, and I need to rebuy these books because I'm looking at these books here. This is a combination of the Spectre and Batman working together, and this is a Batman book number 240, and then I'm sorry, not 240, 540 and 541. These books came out in the late 90s of 97 as well. And so I really love these books. Kelly Jones is the artist on this book, and Doug Mensch is the writer. And of course, Kelly Jones is always known for the long, pointy Batman ears that he did in those late 1990s, mid 90s, late 1990s books of Batman. Very unique take on the Batman, but I see I've got some spine ticks on these books, and I need to repurchase these books right here. And so again, Spectre, unaffordable, but the first appearance of Spectre is unaffordable, but you can begin to get some other books, Spectre books, that will creep up in value for you if you get in there early, because the Justice Society, the Spectre was part of the Justice Society, and those books, though golden age of the original of the Justice Society, because they were World War II heroes. Again, they're golden age, early silver age, but there are other books in there, and some of them are actually affordable. Even some of those old golden age, silver age books, some of them are affordable. Every single book that you come across will not be high value. Some of them, of course, with the first appearances, are high value. And so some of the things that were spun off from, and this is an 80s book here that I'm holding here, the All-Star Squadron. This book here is a spinoff from the Golden Age heroes, as you see, Golden Age Flash, Wildcat, and the Guardian. Those are all old characters, and they've got the old Robin here as well. And then another character here is Phantom Lady. And so with the Phantom Lady, this is another character that I said that, we talk about books that are affordable versus not affordable. Well, those Phantom Lady books that were done in its original form, by Matt Baker are not affordable to most buyers. And so what is important about Matt Baker, and I'll pull this other book up here. This book is here called, this is a hardback book, and it's a history book of Black artists that were in comic books in early comic books. And so Matt Baker is the creator of this character here, the Phantom Lady, which is the same character here depicted in this cover, on this cover of the All-Star Squadron from the 1980s. But just to give you a quick showdown of what Matt Baker and who Matt Baker is, and I won't go too deep into it because that's for another show. But in this book, this is Clarence Matthew Baker. He was born in 1921 and began doing comic book work in the early mid 1940s. And I believe some of his first work was in 1944. And so I'll just go right here with the most infamous and well-known cover of the Phantom Lady. This book here, most people can't afford it. I'll tell you right now, it is high valued. And there are other characters. He did Sheena. He was one of the first ones to do Sheena. I think he started in, I'll put it in the comments, but he did Sheena later, Sheena Lord of the Jungle as well. And as you can see, just some of his work by Matt Baker, just recreated in this book, is amazing. He is one of the best and well-known artists of all times. And yes, there were artists of color who did beautiful work. They just weren't well recognized or accepted at that time in the 1940s. And so they always had to do characters that didn't look too much like them. And if they did, they were not in a favorable fashion. But Matt Baker's work was amazing. And so I'm gonna get off of Matt Baker because, again, some of the books that DC they may not have owned at the beginning, but they acquired through property rights, like the Phantom Lady. Phantom Lady first appearance is extremely expensive. And so, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to find some of these books that you can find that are related. Again, as I said, an 80s book that kind of blended in those characters from the 1940s, like Phantom Lady, and there are tons of them like that. But anyway, let's change a little bit and getting off the DCEU and still talking about DC love. And so what's important about this book here with Batman Adventures, we already talked about the first appearance of Harley. Well, this is the first Batman Adventures comic book that was spawned from that Batman Adventures cartoon from the early 90s. So this is the first appearance of Batman Adventures in comic books. And one of the reasons why I'm bringing this book up today is because, of course, the voice of Batman on the cartoon, Kevin Conroy, he died this past week. And so I'm going to give his shout outs and strong kudos of love to Kevin Conroy for the work that he did as the voice of Batman. If people don't know, when they hear Batman, most people think of in the cartoon Batman, they think of Kevin Conroy. His was the first, and he did tons of content, not just on the Batman cartoon, but he also on the Superman Adventures cartoon, as well as the Justice League cartoons. So Kevin Conroy had, from the early 90s until his recent passing of last week, he did tons of work as voicing Batman. So you know his voice when we're talking about cartoons. And just one other book that coincides with Kevin Conroy. This is another one, an early book of Batman Gotham Adventures, and it was another cartoon that spun off from Batman Adventures. And then you had the Gotham Adventures cartoon as well. And Kevin Conroy voiced it. And this is just another comic book that based upon that cartoon that Kevin Conroy voiced. And so now I'm going to talk about other reasons why you need to get investing into getting vested into Batman books is like characters like Jason Todd, who becomes Jason Todd was the second Batman. I'm sorry, the second Robin. Uh, and this is who he morphed into after the Joker killed Jason Todd as the Robin, and he became the Red Hood. Uh, and so I didn't bring up I didn't bring up where Jason was killed. It's called the Death in the Family storyline. Is when he is killed, and then when he is brought back, he's brought back in. I'll have to look it up so far as what Batman number book it was. He was brought back in from and resurrected in the early mid 2000s, probably around 2005 ish. And this book here, what is important is because it begins to spell out by Judd Winnick was the writer who brought Jason Todd back from the dead. But it tells how in details this Red Hood lost days, how he comes back and is resurrected. And when you're talking about resurrection in DC Comics, you're always talking about, and I should have put this one here first, the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul, who was in the back. Ra's al Ghul in Batman number 232 was part of, with his Lazarus Pits. Ra's al Ghul is hundreds of years old, and but he always finds a way to bring himself back to life or keep himself young-ish by using Lazarus Pits. And so this story here that we have, that I'm showing you here with the Batman 232, is the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul. And then going back to Jason Todd and linking him, Jason Todd comes back to life. And this is a book here, a later book on the Red Hood. And Jason Todd has his Red Hood on, as well as wearing the robe or cape of Ra's al Ghul. As in this book here, the Red Hood and the Outlaws number 24, is just a cool book to have, and he's with the League of Assassins. And this is what I've never read. I got to get into this one. As you see, a key writer on comic books, James Tynion IV. He is also a writer on a hot book called Something is Killing the Children. He also wrote for Batman Detective Comics, and his work with his work on that, on Detective Comics, as well as the previous volume of Batman, the latest volume of Batman. There was the one volume before. James Tynion did a long run on Batman, and it's well acclaimed. So do yourself a favor, look up James Tynion IV, his work in particular on Batman. You will not be disappointed. And so this one here is another one of his books for Red Hood and the Outlaws. And these books here of Red Hood and the Outlaws by James Tynion are very affordable. So recommend you get these now, and then you will be able to enjoy not just quality writing and artwork, but an affordable book that probably in speculation will become very high value pretty soon. Okay, now I'm just going to get into things so far as what's been hype lately. So last week we talked about Black Panther, or Wakanda Forever. And this book here is just, it's a hard novel on Shuri. And I just wanted to share this as something that I purchased about a year ago. And it's a solo written novel on Shuri. It's called Shuri the Vanished by Nick Stone. And this is one I got to get into and put some eyeballs into it and some brain power to dedicate to it. And I'll let you know how that reads at one time, but it's a recommendation for you. And I'm going to try to move through this show very quickly now. This here book, Ironheart number 9, is the first appearance of Riri and Shuri together. And as you see on the title, is called Ironheart Goes to Wakanda. And so this book here is the first appearance of Riri and Shuri together. Just repeating myself, got 2 copies of it, and it's still affordable. Recommend you try to put that in your collection now. And now going into books that came out this week. This book here on Harley Quinn just came out this past Wednesday, new books. And what is key about this book is the artist, Lee Bermejo, and we've talked about him on this show as well. Lee Bermejo, his painted work is straight gorgeous. And you see this unique perspective of Harley and the Joker and the Joker dolls. It's just sick. And then the black, the dark, Lee Bermejo's work with darks and kind of like dulled colors into his paint work with the darks is remarkable. And this thing here with Harley is just sick. It's ugly and it's beautiful at the same time. Recommend you try to find yourself a copy of Harley Quinn number 24. And so now we go into recommended book for this week because it's a number 1. First solo of Yoda. And there are many covers for this book. This is one of the covers that I enjoyed that I found at the local comic book store. There's another one where he's coming out of his hutch on Dagobah that I would like to try to procure as well. But this book here is one that I like on Yoda number 1. And again, just a recommended book to try to find, not spend it, buy in early and cheap, and then watch your money grow over time. This one here is the latest Detective Comics, probably like maybe 1030 something or something like that. I have to look up the number and I'll edit myself and you'll see what number this one is. But this is by J.H. Williams III. And J.H. Williams III is another phenomenal artist that you may want to look up his work. He's done tons of work on Batman over the years, in particular Detective Comics. This is not his first time. And with Ram V being the writer on this book, I'm looking forward to reading it. It's not the first book by Ram V writing on this book. I think he's written, at least 4 or 5 books on the title now. And so you may want to pick up this book because Ram V, and then in conjunction with J.H. Williams III, this book will have no other choice but to crawl up in value, and eventually, in a few years, or maybe in a few years, or maybe many years. I'm not quite sure, but speculate, it will blow up. Now, I bought this strictly for cover love. This one here, DC versus Vampires, is a book that came out this past week, number 11. I bought this just because of what they've done with Plastic Man as a vampire. And this cover is just plain sick. I mean, it's so good. I love this cover. It's self-explanatory why. And as you see, who was the writer on this? James Tynion. And also Matthew Rosenberg, another great writer. So this DC versus Vampire series, it is very good. It's very much worth reading and making an investment into. But this particular cover here, oh my God. Yeah, gotta get it, had to get it. I might have to get another copy of it because that's just too doggone good. Okay, going into mail call books, and the show is almost over. Last week we talked about Brother Voodoo, and so this book here came in as a mail call book. This New Avengers number 33. I just wanted to pick that up because Brother Voodoo was on the cover, as well as Luke Cage Power Man. Got 2 copies of it. And then, of course, as I said, All Things Doom. This one came in, this New Avengers number 33. This is not my first copy. This is my second copy of it. I bought this originally back in probably like 2013 or 14. And this is my second copy just because it's Doom and it is done by Gabrielle Dell'Otto, and I'll kind of like take the glare off of it. And Gabriel Dell'Otto smashes it as always. Just love this cover. And again, all things Doom for me is a buy. They're just a buy. When I see Doom, I buy. And coming to the next to the last book, next to the last in this show, Amazing Spider-Man number 13. This was not the latest. I think this is from the latest volume, but it's already on number 14. But I wanted to buy this book because I just love the way Spider-Man is swinging in and giving the cab driver a pound, giving the cab driver a pound while swinging through the city. Had to buy two of these. These are very affordable right now. I think I paid like $4 a piece. And so do yourself a favor, try to find them. Not saying they'll do anything, but there's a possibility they might become valuable so far as purchasing or valued in cost, but they're valuable to me because I just love the cover. And the last book I've got here is this Deadpool book, number 1 from the latest volume of Deadpool, with Biggie Smalls on the cover with Deadpool. Had to have this one. As soon as I saw the possibility of when this was going to premiere, I bought this one. It bought in early from the Ken Lashley, who was the artist, site. And yeah, very proud to have this in my collection. And so we're going to wrap up the show. And I'm going to bring the camera back to me and my face. I hope you don't mind my face, but here we're going to go and wrap this up. And I tell you, thank you so much. I look forward to doing a show for you about Matt Baker in the future. Just again, an incredible historic figure that has probably been forgotten by many, but for those who know, Matt Baker is one of those artists in his books. Like I say, most people can't afford them. They are into the multiple thousands of dollars. So yeah, you buy a Matt Baker book, you're going to think about it before you get them, as are most of the DC Golden Age books, Golden and Silver Age books. You're going to think twice before you get them. But then again, now's the time to get some of those going into the bronze, copper, modern age books. Now's the time, because again, they blend the gold and silver with those bronze, copper, modern age books. And those, because of the value of the two creeping up, and the attention with James Gunn and what he's going to do with the DCEU, and just the plain quality of DC books right now, it's amazing. Do yourself a favor, buy some DC books. And so I hope you had a good time with me, because I had a good time sharing some of this good stuff with you guys. Please like and subscribe to our show. Again, it's always a pleasure to spend time with you, and I hope that you enjoy spending time with me. And hopefully we'll do a show with Brother John soon. And also I look forward to doing another show with some other guests from the local comic book store. We're going to do a show together pretty soon. Some of the local comic book store guys here in the Virginia area. We're just going to kind of like do a round table, kind of like a ESPN's First Take, and do some content for you guys. And so anyway, please stay too ski geeked up and have a too ski geeked rest of your day. And I'll holler at you soon. Peace.